welcome to another episode of Rave Sensation. I'm your host, Dan. And once again, this is an unboxing episode. And I'm going to be looking through a box from my storage. And this box that I happened to pick up had a lot of comics in it. So I'm going to look at some alternative comic books. And hopefully you'll see a few things that are interesting to you. Okay? Okay, so here's some of the alternative and underground comics and a few other things that just happen to be in this box. And because a lot of the boxes I'm going through are very male artist oriented, I mean, they dominated the comics for a long time. And I love all their stuff, but I feel it should be pointed out when there's some good female creators who might have fallen through the cracks. This is Melody, The True Story of a Nude Dancer by Sylvie Raincourt. Sylvie originally drew and published the comic herself. She wrote and drew it. And her comics are very childlike, kind of like naive looking. Not childlike. That's a bad. But you know, they're very amateur looking. They're very simple, but they're great. They're a lot of fun. I have them. They're not in this box. As a matter of fact, this is the only issue of this. Even though I have all the issues, this is the only one that was in here. They've been gathered together in a book. I know I haven't seen it, but I know that her original comics were all gathered together in a collection at some point. I just didn't have the money or time or whatever to get it, but it is out there and it is well worth looking for. This one is, she had help from Gabrielle, drew these, and it's basically the story of she's a nude dancer. She lives with a ne'er-do-well boyfriend who she supports. And, you know, she is a bit of a hot pistol who likes to kind of swing. They have an open relationship. And this issue is about how, unbeknownst to her, her boyfriend is kind of creeping when he knows she's with another fellow. And so it's a pretty racy. I think this was done at a time when, you know, adult as in sexually oriented comics were selling pretty well for some of the publishers. And I think this was kitchen sink attempt to kind of get it in the market. They had a couple titles like that. Theirs are a little artier than most. They have more story to them. They have more emotion to them. I mean, this is a good comic. It gives you a good idea of what her life was like at the time. And, you know, it's really well written. There's a lot of things going on. You have a good, considering that she's the one who's putting the words into her boyfriend's mind, I think she does a good job of probably figuring out what he was thinking of, and it also does a good job of letting you know what it's like for the nude dancers. So again, there's some images in here that I might get in trouble for if I'm not careful. Well, this is a collection of her original stuff. You see the drawing style? This is not the one I'm thinking of. This is a newer one, and it's translated. This is the original version in French. And here's some of the issues. I think it's a great comic. I think she's a terrific writer. I would have liked to have seen more. This is Roberta Gregory. I'm not going to flip through this one either because I would definitely get in trouble. Naughty Bits. It stars a very obnoxious and abrasive main character who you know, she definitely has reason to be angry with the world, but it doesn't make her. But her anger is sometimes misplaced, and it's definitely played for laughs. The artwork may or may not suit your style. I like it. You can see here the way she draws the character who's kind of her stand-in kind of thing. There's from this woman's point of view. She's not. Oh, again, shouldn't have shown too much of that. Slutburger by Mary Fleener. Now, Mary Fleener is someone who I really love her early stuff. Her art got more and more abstract as she went along, and a lot of people really like that. I kind of like these earlier versions better. You can see this. It's very simple, but I love it. Again, I have to be careful. These women are all filthy. They're all filthy. What can I say? I'm just kidding. This is Julie Doucette. Sorry, Julie Doucette. I'm not. I won't tell you what this translates to. Needless to say, it's another. But look at this art. Look how. Wow. It's just fantastic. She's about a young person trying to make a go of it. All her different ups and downs, and the life of a young person going out and having fun and being a little wild. And then again, a little wilder than we should show here. Some of you sign up to see my videos on old horror comics, and you get this. All I can say is I think her artwork is absolutely gorgeous, and I love it. And I don't know if she creates new work, but her stuff has been reissued several times. So much fun, so good, and it is funny. You know, I know some people have a hard time relating to the stories of young people when, you know, these different generations had different experiences growing up. They go, I can't relate. I don't think that should be a problem. It's not for me, and I really like it. Just a lot of stuff. So there's a couple of female artists to look for. This was in there. This is a Space Ghost comic. It's done by Steve Rude, famous for Nexus. Anything by Steve Rude, I'll pick up. He's had a few books I haven't cared for over the years, you know, story-wise, but art-wise, he's just tremendous. You know, all the people he's influenced by are people that I love, and he just does a fantastic job. Now, Space Ghost was designed by Alex Toth, a great artist in his own right, but then when they made comic books at the time, you know, nobody who was doing it was as good as he was, as Alex was. So they were disappointing. And the thing is, Steve Rude does his, you know, he was very influenced by Alex. So this is as close as we get to seeing him do one of these books. As far as the plot goes, it's considering how repetitious and short those original Space Ghost cartoons were, this is enough plot for 5 or 6 episodes. And it's fun. He gathers together a rogues gallery of all of Space Ghost's villains, just about, and has them attack. And not only that, he does the old thing where he has an evil doppelganger of Space Ghost pop up. And wow, the art here is just so good, and he does a great job of recreating the color of those cartoons. And just fantastic. Wow. So there you go. Definitely, if you're a Space Ghost fan, or if you're a Steve Rude fan, make sure you look this one up. I'm not sure how well it did. I don't know how many were printed, but you know, I mean, so I don't know how hard it would be to get, but there you go. There was a issue of Arcade in there, and Arcade was a later anthology, an anthology with a lot of the underground guys. There's a Crumb comic. What? One, so there's 20 panels per page on this. It's crazy. Now these little dancing bears are, were used on different merchandising and T-shirts and stuff later on. But that's a terrific Crumb one. So wordy, and this is one of Art Spiegelman. This is before Raw, I believe, and it's one of his deconstructions of classic comic strips. And your mileage may vary. It makes me laugh to see this craziness. This is by the author of Zippy the Pinhead. More crazy goodness. And there's a S. Clay Wilson with his usual disgusting creatures that I love. I don't know how you say her name. Diana Newman? I like her stuff a lot too. I like when her character Dee Dee Glitz gets to heaven, and God is basically a version of her with male eyebrows and a beard, but otherwise. And Willie Murphy. Yeah, so, it's got all the Underground Comics greatest hits guys all in one place. There's Eileen. That's a great one. There's one copy of Yummy Fur in here. And this is an early issue when he was still serializing Ed the Happy Clown. And there's this character, I think she turns out to be a vampire. There's that world's version of Ronald Reagan. Well, is that the final? I think that might have been the finale. The little vampire, Ed the Happy Clown, thinks he's finally going to be happy, and the little vampire burns up. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with Real Stuff. The late Dennis Eichhorn was famous for all the stories he would tell people, all the outrageous, supposedly true stories of his life. And, he got to know all these cartoonists and all these famous people. And, he was able to convince these cartoonists to draw his stuff. It's like Harvey Pekar on steroids. This is some really wild stuff, really crazy, and he's got some really great artists doing work for him. They're very funny, but they're really off color, as is almost everything I've been showing people today. Sorry if that's bothering anybody. Let's see. Here's an issue of Young Lust, which is Last Gasp managed to put together. Really great. I mean, look, they got Gary Panter to do a cartoon. Phoebe, what is it? Trying to remember how to pronounce her last name. Phoebe Glock, I don't know. This is another female cartoonist who does a lot of great stuff and has a great style. And yeah, just tremendous stuff. And there's Spain Rodriguez art. A lot of great stuff. A lot of great stuff. So, there's that. Two more things. This was not a comic, but it was in there. This is a, I should probably save this for a more movie-oriented talk. It was a local guy from Baltimore, Don Doler, who's since passed, who made several really fantastic, goofy monster movies. This was his self-published book, magazine. Starlog bought the rights to do more issues of it. But these early ones, Don Doler writes about special effects. And if you see his, if you see any of his movies, you might say, well, what does this guy know about special effects? But they are really, I mean, here he's talking about making a monster costume for like $10. This is one of the creatures from the Alien Factor, his first movie. There's a concept drawing. Doesn't look anything like what he finally came up with for the movie. But see, here it is. Really, how to make this monster suit. And I was just kidding about the $10. That's what he paid for the rug. He bought a rug and used the for the hair on the suit. That's what he was talking about. There's, if you want to recreate the moon landing, how to do that. There's making an armature for stop motion creatures. And here's a look. So Alien Factor hadn't come out yet when he did this. And here's about how to create realistic looking miniature sets. So there's shows you how to do that. So that's really interesting. Coming up, there's another creature from the Alien Factor. And the final thing is the Cabbie. I think you say his name Marty. This is heavily influenced by Dick Tracy. A lot of times people want to talk about Dick Tracy and say like, oh, well, Dick Tracy has the early issues are so bleak and stuff, and the Dick Tracy is so cruel and he kills everybody. All the bad guys always end up dead and this and that. When I actually read those early issues, yes, it's true all that stuff happens, but at this point we're kind of beyond being shocked by that, except when we go like, oh, think of the time period that happened. This is more like, what if... This updates that same idea, and as you can see, it looks very Dick Tracy-like. But it is updated with more current-looking violence and even more swordness than in the original Dick Tracy. I like this. He stabs... This Cabbie gets himself in a world of hurt with some crooks, and you know, it's like it's as twisty as a Hitchcock thing, where he thinks he's going to slip out of it, but he just makes everything worse for himself and everybody around him, and of course the crooks are having a tough time. I mean, everybody is having a tough time in this. Geez Louise. Oh my gosh. I don't want to give too much away, but it is twisty and turny, full of the most noirish crime stuff you can imagine. And like I said, it's like the squalidness you think of when people try and describe those early Dick Tracy comics, but it really is that way. Only the cops are just as bad as everybody else. So anyway, I definitely recommend the Cabbie, one of my favorite comics. That's all for today.